Today we have with us Monique Maley of Articulate Persuasion. Monique, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell us, what is Articulate Persuasion?
So I'm a communications coach. I work with professionals in all industries to help them communicate more effectively. And I work with a lot of startups on being able to craft their story and then tell their story when they're pitching to investors.
So you've been training some of the people here at South by that's been pitching?
I have a few of my clients that are pitching over the course of the many and varied events that happen over the next few days. So yes, and then some are out of town looking at people who didn't come to South by to pitch.
So tell us, with entrepreneurs who are typically very technical, very geeky, very knowledgeable about what they're doing, but can't always articulate what they're doing, do you find some common traits in these entrepreneurs?
Yes, and actually I would say that even the ones who are very personable and good communicators in general, the first biggest challenge is, and I'm sure you see this all the time, that the first thing they want to really talk about is their product, when they forget that the investor is not buying their product, they're buying their business. So the first big challenge is getting them to tell the story of their business, not the product that they've created. And they're often not used to having to tell that story. Mm-hmm. So that's the first challenge. And then often when I work with people who are more scientific, sort of engineers, they tend to get bogged down with jargon and language that the investors may not understand. And the problem is that you want to grab someone's attention quickly, and if they're trying to figure out what the acronyms of something are or what the technical terms that they don't understand are, then they've gotten lost, and then the story of your business gets lost in the process.
This year at South by, we have delegations from 74 different countries.
That's really exciting.
So it's exciting, but isn't there an added issue when you're trying to typically talk in the first business language of English and, shall we say, the second business language of Spanish?
Absolutely. Well, so I do work with companies in Mexico as well, and I think there are two hurdles that I see oftentimes. First of all, if English is not a first language, then there's actually just sometimes a pronunciation issue, and that takes obviously a lot longer to overcome, but I strongly recommend that they really work on memorizing based on phonetics so that they can be very well understood. The second thing, which a lot of people don't think about, is sort of cultural communication. And oftentimes how we communicate body language and tone of voice from other languages and from other cultures really changes. I'm part Spanish, for example, and Spaniards tend to be quite brusque and quite direct, which in the United States isn't always bad, but sometimes it is, depending especially on what part of the States you're pitching. So I think that there's the two things, that there's the challenge for foreign companies that come here. It's the language challenge, and then the cultural communication in terms of body language and tone.
You know, more and more successful entrepreneurs are global by nature.
Yes.
Or I should say their business is global by nature. How is, you've got the company past its pitch, it's raised its capital, it's got its product, it's learned how to sell its company as well as its product, and now it's moving into a foreign market. How do you start, do you coach and take them at that level?
I have a couple of times, and the first thing, and I actually would say this is more true for American companies, I think the first thing they need to do is learn an awful lot about cultural cues. You have to do a deep dive into the little nuances of how a small tip of the head or a word that we use commonly here can often be seen as very offensive somewhere else. So the first thing you really need to do is sit down and do major due diligence in terms of what are the cues, in terms of offering deference, and then in terms of being able to, or actually insulting someone when you're not meaning to. Mm-hmm. And the other one is, the second part of that is really the body language question again. We tend to be in the States, we tend to see each other as peers in the working world, much more so than they do, for example, in some of the Asian countries. So you have to really think about, okay, what is that language that I need to be speaking? So how am I crafting my presence when I'm traveling to China or when I'm going to Singapore, etc. So there's a whole other component that you can't just go in. I think it was interesting that Bill Gates apparently created great offense when he went to, I think it was in China, and he didn't button his jacket, and that's what the article was about. And it's like, when you have a meeting, that's not what you want people to remember about you, that you didn't bow or you didn't button your jacket, or that maybe you didn't wear a jacket, and that's so.
These are small but important things.
Sure.
So for the entrepreneurs out there who need to learn how to really pitch
Yes.
their companies and their products, for the later stage as you go global, we have Monique Maley, who I will also say has done a great job in helping the students at the University of Texas redefine and relearn how to better pitch their ideas and entrepreneurial endeavors.
I just think investors want to see better pitches, and I would hate to see that a great idea gets lost because someone can't really articulate what their vision is.
I think she said it all. Let's not lose those great ideas.
Absolutely.
For those entrepreneurs. Monique Maley, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.